Good evening, everybody. I am hoping sound is good. I have tried to get this all set up for this evening's live. So let's see. There I am. Now, hopefully, let me know if you guys are not hearing me. I am streaming this live also on to YouTube, so I will do my best to catch all the comments. So come on in. Sandra is just finishing up her spot with Craft Around the Clock. So we'll give her a few minutes to finish up. And in the meantime, welcome. I am so excited to be sharing something that I have been working on for quite some time. Excuse me, it's been a long day already. And my husband's like, "You're doing what? Alive at 9 o'clock?" I'm like, "Yep. This last week you couldn't stay awake till 9. I'm like, "I know." And so he's like, "How are you gonna do it?" And I was telling my friends, I'm gonna take a nap. Well, that didn't happen either. So Sandra should be finishing up right now. I didn't get to see everybody today, so I have been working on some technical things. But welcome to my segment of Craft Around the Clock. Sew, stitch, and create. And this is my Fun Friday bonus. Hi, Estella. So, I have way too many devices to try to read. I have been working probably for the last year or so on how to make a quilted cover that had structure. And because of that, we've had a lot of ups and downs, trials and errors. And I finally think I have this ready to share with everybody. It's a little different. Hi, Janet. And because of the fact that normally on Craft Around the Clock, we only have 45 minutes to craft. Now, anybody who knows me knows that this camera cannot craft in 45 minutes, let alone an hour. So being I'm the last one on Craft Around the Clock, I actually get to a little bit longer tonight. And Tracy's given me permission to go a little later because I wanted Tracy to know what I was doing before I actually totally committed to this bonus time. Hi, Kimberly. Hey, Mare. Mare, did you get a nap today? I didn't. So come on in. Let me double check something here. Okay. Sorry. I am also streaming to YouTube, so and I have way too many devices. Hi, Tracy. So in front of you, I have two very beautiful flower images. So no nap for you either, Mare? Okay, well, then we both better not fall asleep. These are actually the week 3 freebie from Petals and Parchment. And she allowed me to share this ahead of time with you. Oh, and talking about Elizabeth, There she is in the comments. Hi, Elizabeth. So these will actually be available next Friday. But can you tell me which one is paper? There's one or two. And which one is fabric? And no, I forgot to grab a link, Elizabeth. I am so sorry. But wait till you see this. Any ideas? One is paper and one is fabric. Yes, you can take a digital and print it onto fabric. This is the paper one. Ooh, you're at the, hi Angela. You're gonna like this, Angela. And this one is fabric. How I do this, I trim a heavier grade of muslin to a paper size, 8.5 by 11. Then I iron it onto good old freezer paper. Let me grab it. Now you want to make sure it's freezer paper, not wax paper. Trying to iron onto wax paper could be a big nightmare. Once I iron it onto the freezer paper, you have to know your printer. But I do take a fabric glue stick and put a little glue on each end. So when the printer picks it up, the end that gets picked up first will not jam up or get stuck. Hi, Sandra. Sorry I didn't get finished watching your live. I had to make sure all the devices were running. Now, I have tried to do a live where I shared how to print on fabric, and I jammed 2 printers that day. So, and I haven't had a problem since. So yes, when you get here, say hi, let me know you're here. I'm trying to do my best to read comments. And so now we have our fabric. And if you were anywhere near my place in Nebraska last weekend, you would have heard a lot of ouches because I don't use pins when I sew normally. But I will show you the almost finished product. Hi, Pat. Of what you can do with an 8.5 by 11 piece of printed fabric. So this is what I'm going to show you how to do. And did I see Kelly's here? And I teased you with the inside of the journal cover on Wednesday. So this is actually the journal cover for the journal I started working on Wednesday. Hi, Eileen. Hey, Chris. How is my favorite tomorrow friend? Oh my goodness, girl, I have missed you. My friend Chris is down in Australia. And right now they have summer, almost fall. So I tried to do as much as I could ahead of time so that we didn't have to be all night. But I've started out with a piece of batting, and where are my papers that tell me the size? I do believe the size is 11 by 20. Ow, I just poked myself. So this batting's 11 by 20. I don't know if you can see the marks, but I did put chalk marks so that way I could tell where I'm sewing. So it is actually, if I did the math right, just a little after noon in Australia. And when I go live in the morning, she's usually sleeping. So being I'm using an 8.5 by 11 piece of printed fabric, I just kept the same sizing all the way through for each one I'm showing you. So we're going to consider this beautiful polka dot as our 8.5. This will be our printed. And then this is the solid. So for this method, we will be putting the first piece right side up on the batting, the second piece right side down on top of it, and then we will be taking that to the sewing machine. Which, give me a moment to get over there. And there we are. I will be using what is called a quarter up. Yep, I don't know where the camera is on this device. Hold on. Let's go back to the other one just a moment. This is a 1/4 inch foot. Hi, Monica. Quilters love to use this because we can put our fabric right along this edge here. I don't know if you guys can see that edge. And our fabric will go right there, giving us a perfect 1/4 inch. Good evening, Deborah. So that is what is on my sewing machine. And I've started it out already with what we call a leader, which is just a piece of fabric that catches our thread so we don't lose it. Because there's nothing worse than having a rat's nest in the bottom of your sewing machine. So all my friends are here tonight. Awesome. Make sure this is lined up on the edge of the batting. Now the lines truly are just to help you guys hopefully see where I'm at and what I'm doing. Normally I would just kind of freehand this. So I've lined my fabric. I'm looking to see if you guys can see. No, you can't. I'm sorry. I try to get this set up so you could. Now in quilting, we don't normally do a back stitch because when we go back over it, those stitches are captured. Hi, Lisa. You are such a sweet friend to Gloria. Okay, sorry, looking for my foot pedal. It wants to move away on me. Oh, come on, baby. I'm using my baby Janome. It's not happy right now. Let me make sure it's actually stitching. Oh, come on. Okay. It's just not happy. It probably needs cleaned. It's been doing a lot of paper crafting type sewing. It doesn't know what to think of all this fabric. There it goes. And it's probably you won't really hear me over it because there's only one speed with this. Well, there is several. And I'm hoping you guys can see what I'm doing. Let me know if it's not, if there's a problem or something. Like I said, we start with the leader, and I will finish this with what is called an ender, and then it becomes a leader. This actually came from Bonnie Hunter, who is well known in the quilting world, and she actually has a book about leaders and enders. She's actually a really sweet person too. Unfortunately, she has retired, so now this is ready for me to go the next time I come over. Yep. So now we're ready to open this up. So this is what we call a quilting as you go. Normally you would have a piece underneath the batting, like a regular piece of fabric, but the way I do it's a little different. So we're ready to turn our piece out and iron it. This is going to have to move. And we just iron it open. And now we're ready for our next piece. So do you guys have any questions? Hi, Cindy. Lisa, I am shocked you're still up after the week you've had helping Gloria. So I'm lining this piece then up on the edge of the white piece. I know it's tough to see because it's the white on white. I'm trying to line it up the best I can with the edge here. One of the things when you go from being a quilter to junk journaling is trying to learn how to let the perfection go. And it's taken me a little bit to really let go of, having to be perfect with my junk journal quilting, my junk journaling. So we will do the same step until we get to the end of the batting. I probably will have to have my husband service my machine. And no, I do not like having to go find my ends. And you guys don't want to have to witness that either, because sometimes it requires tearing apart the machine. So what I'm using for my leaders and enders is actually half square triangles. That when I ever get done with them, they'll get turned into a quilt. Oh, well, welcome, Eileen. I hope you like what you see and you come back and see me more. I usually do junk journals. It's really tough to show quilting online. I'm trying to do it as seamless as possible for you guys. Without giving you a headache. So now we're ready to put on our white piece. Now I did, when I first started my lives, oh my goodness, almost 3 years ago, I did offer quilting classes. And I'm debating about doing those again. Only I would probably do it a little differently this time. So now that we have our piece right sides together, we'll go back to the sewing machine. I wish there was a way to do this so I didn't have to bounce the camera like I do. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure it out. Ooh. What is your problem? There you go. Your sewing machine does kind of give ideas that it's not happy. Oh, why I use freezer paper. Excuse me. I use freezer paper to strengthen the fabric so my printer will take it without it having problems. And sorry guys, if you hear somebody crying, with the setup I have up here, I had to shut my door, so he is downstairs not happy at mama. Because I am sewing and he would definitely be trying to help me. And in quilting, we do use freezer paper a lot for other things too. But I had to find, and it's a cheaper way than buying the printable fabric that we used to be able to get at Joann's. Hi, sweet friend Deb. Thank you for the shout out today. Yep. I was trying to pull the thread under, that's why the machine was talking. And I will go back and redo the comments. It probably will be tomorrow. Oh, no worries. You're never late here, friend. I'm just happy to see you. So The process will continue all the way down to the edge, the other end. Once I'm done with that, I have a strip, and this is why we don't have to backstitch, is because this piece will get sewn over the edge, and that 1/4 inch then will trap all those loose ends. And I know I got permission to go a little later, but it's just a lot of repetitive going all the way down. If you want to see it, I can continue or we can move on to the next step. Let me know in the comments, continue or move on, because I don't want to bore you. Because we will get this turned into a journal cover. And there's a bit of a lag. So, well, I must have bored you all to sleep. Okay, I can move on. It is really an easy process sewing strips together. The next process, I will show you the next process when I remember where I put it. Oh, there it is. So imagine we've stitched all the way to the ends. You may have to trim the batting to get your edges perfectly neat, because as you're sewing, the batting will move. The next step then is to sew the lace on for the particular type I'm making. Thank you, Deb. I did not say Deb. I'm gonna have to call one Deb and one Deborah. I'm so sorry, sweet friends. This one actually will have a ribbon tie. The pink one will have a flap over, and I'll show you with the green one, because it will have a flap that will be snapped to close. So I'm showing you 2 different ways. This one without the flap is actually 11 inches by 17. And thank you. This one, I wanted to do a blue and yellow journal for a while, so I figured why not, and I had plenty of lace. So I've already started sewing it, so I wasn't here all night. I just spend my weekend working, trying to get this process so that it was not 2 hours or 3 hours long. So I'll show you before I get to the machine. When I get to the corner, let me make sure I'm in camera here. I will actually pick this part of the lace up and do a 90. And if Cindy's still here, she knows this. It's called the binding, how we attach binding. And then I will start sewing again down the other side. So I'm making a 90 and then folding it back on itself. Oh, well, this is a process that I've been working on. I love the feel of a journal, and I love the texture of a quilt. I actually have been quilting for 30 years. And so for me, learning how to incorporate my love of quilting into my new love of junk journaling has been interesting, because when you're sewing or quilting, there's that need for perfection. But yet at the same time, when you're junk journaling, there's no rules. And letting go of perfection has been interesting. I have some friends in the comments that could probably tell you about me having to learn to let go of the perfection. So I am not going to actually use a 1/4 inch foot for this. So I'm going to do what we call a scant quarter, just so I can get the lace down to the top. And I do have to sew slower for this, because my main goal is just right now to get the lace in place for the back or the inside of the cover, journal cover. And yes, these would, for a Bible to fit in with this, you'd have to make some adaptations for this cover to work for a journal or a Bible. And I think my machine needs oil. Sorry. I know what I'm doing this weekend. Giving my sewing machines a spa day. Now I'm going to stop probably roughly a 1/4 inch from the edge, which I don't know if you guys can see that. Pull my fat piece out. Like I showed you, I'm going to take this up at a 90 and then fold it back on itself. And I'm going to stick it right back under the presser foot and go down to the other side. I do remember the journal that I made for the Alzheimer's event 3 years ago. It was one that a Bible could have been put into. I really should put my needle down. I had to figure out where I was. Usually the needle is in the down position, but when I'm doing this, it's easier to not have it in the down position. Just checking to make sure it's not giving me issues on the bottom side. Now, the green journal cover that I showed at first will have a slip spine, so I will have to sew the elastic in, and I will show how to do that part on my Wednesday Craft on the Clock live. And I don't remember the time I scheduled. So I just picked this up to make that 90, and I fold it back on itself. And sometimes you have to just kind of help your machine out a little bit by pushing it through. Where's my sword though? Hi, Jerry. I've missed seeing you. I know I haven't been on a lot, but my health is getting better, and on actually the 17th, the dentist will finally realign my teeth, my top teeth, so that the things may be straighter and I might be able to eat better. Because after that surgery, they didn't do a good job getting the temporary set up right. So now I'm getting close to where I started with the lace. Which, here's where I started. So now it's time to trim it. Ooh, that's a nice machine. This is my baby Janome. It's the one I used when I went to quilt retreats. But when you're dealing with health issues, you don't go to quilt retreats. So now I just use it usually for sewing lace onto paper. But I could not figure out how to take you guys to the quilting area and get everything set up. And the lights would have to have been changed too. And my foot pedal's trying to slide away on this wood floor. So when you get to the end, you just fold right over, keep on going. And there's something about a sewing machine that just kind of is therapy. No, I do not want to use a leader. Let's Elizabeth, that's a really good question. I would have to have more information, but feel free to message me and maybe I can help you. Oh, wow. My son found me a Singer treadle, and I don't know if he got it for me or not because I've been collecting treadle machines. and he knows that I really wanted a singer. So here is what those corners look like with how I do the binding stitch, basically. And now we're ready to put, the way I make this journal cover is not your typical way of journaling. And I just realized I need to sew my ribbon in or I won't have a closure. And Angela's going to help you. Well, and I've looked at trying to find something similar to what I'm using now, and wow, the prices for a new sewing machine, for a big sewing machine, is crazy. So I want my ribbon to be sewn in place before I put the backing. Technically, it would be considered the quilt backing, but because this is a journal cover, it is the inside of the journal cover. See, here's that part where the quilter gummy comes out. A little part. I may have at one time actually perfectly marked it exactly in the center. Thanks, Monica. The normal way you sew lace on just does not work for this type of project. So I need to tack down my ribbons real quick. Which I'm just going to put it under the presser foot and I will back stitch over this. Maybe. Because I do not want that coming loose. Angela, do you use pins when you quilt? I normally don't. So when I was putting the backs on the grain journal, oh man, my poor fingers kept getting poked. Okay, now that my closure is on, sewn on, I can show you the next step. So I've trimmed the back end or the inside of the cover. So we actually do this kind of like a pillowcase. Oh no, where is the top? There's the top. So this piece right here is actually the spine of the journal. And I will, I'm just looking at the time. Let's start where I know I want to have the opening at. So I'd like to have my opening on the bottom of the journal cover. And in this case, on the back side, so that would be over here. Because when you fold this up, this is your front, and then this is your back. And then this will be turned in so that way You have the inside of your journal cover. Now, hopefully that makes sense. Oh, I'm sorry, Angela. I don't even remember what I asked now. Oh, if you use pens when you quilt. So, this is going to be the back of the journal, and I need an opening to turn this right side out about as big as the palm of my hand, or a little bit bigger. And I just take and put a straight pin the wrong way. And then I put a pin on either side of my hand so I know where to start and stop. You're a pinner? Oh, only for this. And this is why you probably heard me in Colorado. I kept poking myself over the weekend. So here, where we've done that corner, you gotta fold your ruffle in, because if you don't, you'll sew it in your seam. And then I take a pin, and this is why I kept hurting myself, because then you take one the opposite way to make sure that you have that lace tucked inside. And when you're sewing, the pins just get you. And then we pin all the way to the other side. Yes. My friend Angela in the comments is another design team member for Elizabeth, who is also a quilter. And the funny thing is, she only lives, what did we figure, 6 hours from me in Colorado? I could use the clips, but this is one of those moments where I guess I'm old school. Um, and the 1/4 inch, I know when I went from sewing clothes to quilting, it's like 1/4 inch, how's that gonna work? And no back stitching? And I didn't bring my clips over, and I can't reach my paper clips, my clips that I use for paper. So we're at another spot point where I can show you how this goes, and then I can just because I don't have to sew this one completely, because the green one's to the spot where I can carry on. And I dropped a straight pin on the floor. There it is. I'm shocked I found it. So I'll show you how to do a little bit of this. Night, Deb. It was so great to have you here. And we will have to talk later. I do plan on painting some soon. So we're back to the machine. here's where the opening is that I want. And now I will actually start on the other side of my pin and hope and pray this is going to unthread. Come on. That was not cool. We may be done sewing if I can't figure out to rethread the machine. Unfortunately, with the left eye not working properly because of the eye stroke, threading the needle is a challenge. Because there's nothing to, oh my goodness. I say that's a challenge and it goes right in. Oh, okay, so I will back stitch here because when I turn it out, because I hand sew the opening closed, I do not want this to come start unsewing on me. Now I will leave this pin in. If your sewing machine does not like going over pins, pull them out. Mine usually behaves. When you get to about 1/4 of an inch from the other end, you want to stop and then turn your fabric. And it won't go over the pin that way. Oops, I forgot to press the needle down. I'm so used to being on my bigger machine for this. There. But sometimes it is, I was debating whether I wanted to try using the, I have a needle threader on this machine. But sometimes I find it more than just trying to. Now, because I'm going to actually stop and pull this out from the machine, I will back stitch right here so it doesn't get away from me. So we're just going to pretend we've sewn all the way around. Then you have your opening here and you turn it out. But I want to show you how this one will look sort of when it's finished. And if I didn't sew my lace down in the corner, I'm happy. And that's why I pin the corners like I do. Okay, so there we have, we're just imagining now that this is a completed cover. I'll actually take this one. So here's that opening. Here's the inside of our cover. Here's the outside of our cover. Let me move these pins. Here's the center of the journal. So this is where the spine should be in a perfect world. Yes, the brothers, yeah, they can be temperamental. I did have a brother at one time and it didn't like to quilt, so I gave it to my sister and got a 10 more. I had it probably 6 months. And you're talking a brother back in the, early 90s. So there's our hole. And yes, we are stuffing this. I have a fascination with cardboard. Yes, you're seeing this correctly. We are stuffing cardboard to give this journal cover some stability. So to do this, let me see. Let's make sure no, I have to have it that way. You literally kind of gently, oh, I guess I should tell you about how I do this. So I know that this journal is going to have a 3-inch flap with a 2-inch spine. So it will have snaps sewn on the edge here, and then it will snap over here. So it will actually close like this. So I know that my spine's 2 inches. This cereal box is almost just a little over 2 inches. And a piece of paper is 11 inches. So if you take that in half, it's 5.5. So I measure, put this way so you can see. From this fold, I measure out 5.5, trim it, same on the other side, trim it down to 8.5 because I need it to be 8.5 because that's the size of a piece of paper. Yeah, see, and this is, and I am streaming to YouTube. I don't know if it's working or not, but because I've never seen this. It's taken me a while. And then you take this. Oh, I did that wrong. I need to roll it the other way. Hey, Debbie. Because I need this part that goes to the front of the journal cover to go in there. So now we take the cardboard and we get it in our hole. And that's why I need the opening to be about the size of my hand. And you just start unrolling the cardboard. Yes, there's easier ways to do this. But this gives me the quilted feeling. with a little bit of structure. And no, you can't really do this without moving everything. And this is why I needed longer than 45 minutes, even with all the extra prep I did over the weekend and during the week. You kind of just have to wiggle it down into place. Thank you for rolling the batting out. And you didn't have to paint your cardboard box to hide what was on it. Now at this point, you could, if you wanted, find where your spine is and sew the cardboard in place. I have not done that. I think I might have done that actually on a journal I sent to Shauna, because that was the first time I tried this method completely. So there we have the natural fold of that cereal box. So there's our 2-inch spine. And over time, this will behave once I get the journal pages in it. And then the cardboard box actually will stop right there. And then once the journal's in, I will sew the snaps on once the journal is completed. Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of like the Pillow method. It really is. Hi, Shauna. So, and this is ours. No, that's right. So a digital image printed on fabric, quilted as you go. Then you sew the lace on. Which is this step. Well, sort of. After, then you sew what technically would be the back of a quilt on, so that way you have the inside of your journal. Yes, Kelly, I will actually be putting the journal, I will be sewing the elastic on Wednesday on Craft Around the Clock. I'll be sewing this elastic into this journal and getting the journal pages in and getting my cardboard to behave. It may have to be sewn down because it's wanting to slide. So from Elizabeth's Digital, this is the paper. This is it printed on a better quality of muslin paper or muslin fabric, trimmed down so that way I could make this. Good night, Estella. It was so great seeing you, friend. And then this journal actually will be holding the garden planner journal that I'm working on Craft Around the Clock. So I will be back with this part on Wednesday morning. But I just wanted to show you guys that you don't necessarily have to use stuffing to stuff things. Cardboard works great for stuffing also. But this is, I can show you one that actually has it's been tamed to behave. I tried sewing the snaps on the other night and my eyes just weren't doing it. But this one has It's the same method with the cardboard in it. It snaps. There's your flap, the spine. It's the same exact one, printed digital on fabric. And yes, a garden journal, a fabric garden journal, probably is not a great idea, but like I'm ever going to take it outside. And then where'd the pink one go? That I was working on. So I will actually finish this one too, because we kind of put it aside to move on. And then its lace is this beautiful pink. I like the purple one too, but I can't really show that one too much because it's not Elizabeth's digital. So this flower will be available in the week 3, which is next Friday. But Elizabeth gave me permission to bring it out a week earlier to show you guys how else you can use a digital piece of paper. You can turn it into fabric and make a journal. If you put, and there is another way, if you put flaps on here, then you could slide a book in. But I like to do it this way. The pink one, yes, that one. I don't know why I made it other than I like pink. So, and I needed the third one, so we weren't here for 3-4 hours tonight. So I hope this has inspired you guys just to play with fabric, take a look at different ways of what you have around you. And before I forget, check what type of lace you're using, because if you get an iron to the wrong type of lace, you will end up having to unstitch all of your lace because you made it grungy. And then you end up having to clean your iron. So if your iron mean this flat, check lace content first. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight for late night crafting. And we will see you Wednesday morning for the next steps in this beautiful gardening journal. Have a blessed evening and weekend, friends.